here we are having the discussion that John Calipari may be fired. And Kentucky's able to beat Tennessee. What did you think of their response? What did you think of Tennessee's play on Saturday before we get to last night?
I thought it was good, man. I thought Kentucky responded to exactly what Cal needed. I think in a sense it wasn't even Cal. I think the players took control of the locker room. I think the leadership from Sheboy calling his teammates out, and those guys respecting him enough as the player of the year and watching his work ethic and watching his lead by example. I would imagine in practice and things of that nature. His work after practice to follow him. So it looked like it bled right over into the court. It was interesting though, man, and I keep pointing to this, that Saville Wheeler didn't play. He didn't play in that Tennessee game. And you also saw last night when they were playing Georgia, when he was in the game, it was a different style of play for Kentucky. So it seems to be that they play better with Cason Wallace at the point guard spot. So I guess the tweaking of that lineup and the defense of Cason Wallace on players gets them to flow and gets the ball hopping around a little bit different. Guys, Saville Wheeler to be impactful has to be handling the ball because he can't shoot really well, but he's good at setting guys up. But that means the ball sticks. And defensively, if you're a good defensive team, that's easier to guard than the ball popping around side to side. And I think that's where Tennessee got in a little bit of trouble. And then at the same time, that was an uncharacteristic going of Tennessee also. Being if you go back to it and you ask Coach Barnes, what do we need to do going into this game to be successful? Guarantee you're going to say physicality is going to be one. Understanding defensive assignments, two, stopping them in transition, and three, four, not giving up second chance points. They did all of that. They were the most physical team. They gave up open shots, were undisciplined on closeouts. What else, man? It's a list that goes on and on. They got hit in the mouth and didn't swing back. It was just a lot going on. And I know officials played a little bit a part of that game. I don't want to overlook that, but at the same time, you still had an opportunity with all that being said and done to finish the game when it was tied up, and you missed 11 layups. It's just, that was a focal point coming into that game. According to the reports, practice they led up with putting the little orange strips. They talked about it before the game, being able to make layups, and then you go out there and miss 11. So that's tough, man. And then you didn't get the performances you thought you should out of the individual guys. Zakai at the same time of Olivier, so you go through ups and downs. It's a rivalry. It's supposed to happen every now and then, but you just don't want to repeat that. And I think Kentucky did a good job answering the bell.
Yeah, Ryan, before we get to the Mississippi State game, I want to limit one more thing about the Kentucky game from Tennessee's side, because I think, it's a noon tip-off, Chris Lofton's number being retired. You can kind of understand maybe not shooting the ball well from the outside, a little bit sloppy guard play, missing some layups. The offensive rebounds aren't always hustle plays, but in this case, when you're built the way Tennessee is, and also Tennessee missed, I want to say 7 more three-pointers than Kentucky, and usually offensive rebounds come from breaking balls a lot more.
Yep.
They shouldn't have allowed Kentucky to get 9 more offensive rebounds. Was there anything beyond just lack of effort that caused that?
I want to say no, but it just felt like when you get out rebounded by 20, regardless of it's offensive, whatever it may be, like that's a look in a mirror moment. Like they wanted it more. They showed it more. You looked at when the ball went up, Kentucky had 4 people in the lane on offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and fighting. The only person I saw fighting consistently was Euros. Outside of him, you saw Phillips early on with the putback and things of that nature, but you didn't get to see that active motor in him. You didn't get to see guys out there getting the long rebounds like what you're talking about when the ball gets tapped up and, people being Johnny on the spot and going and getting the ball. Usually you see Zakai coming up with it, him getting fouled. It's a foul and take the ball out on the side. You see guards getting in there, getting it, but you didn't see that, man. I think there was a lot of will in that game for Kentucky over Tennessee. I just think Tennessee this happens. You know what I'm saying? This is the difference when you bleed over coming from football into basketball, and the importance of one game, and all of a sudden then you get to basketball, you're like, oh, we're a top 10 team, we lost the game. Oh, what are we supposed to do? But you got to play the next 2 days later, 3 days later, you got to go play again. So it's not that much put on it until you get to the tournament. But I just think, man, as fans and media and everything, you just gotta take a step back and understand, man, that sometimes it is about the will and the want. And to answer your question, yeah, I think in this situation, Kentucky really just wanted it more. Like they needed this more in order to right the ship, coming off a loss at Alabama the way that was, then getting beat at South Carolina. I mean, in Rupp against South Carolina, like those were ugly losses. And to come in there and take a pounding, like they were supposed to get beat by 20 against Tennessee, without question, if Tennessee brought the game that they were supposed to bring. But that didn't happen. So you right that ship, and then you look up, and now Kentucky's trying to, inch back up in there to the top upper echelon of the SEC.
Please click that like button, the thumbs up button, so we can bring more people in. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure and do so. We greatly appreciate that. Ron, at what point does Santiago Vescovi's injury become an issue of worry from the standpoint of chemistry? I mean, I have no reason to believe he won't be 100% headed into March, but wouldn't you like to have him right now to be able to work out the minutes and everything?
Yeah, you would. I think with a guy like Santi, the importance of what he brings to the game as far as the scouting report and how the defenses are going to play him, and what it does for guys that are setting screens, getting them open just because he's involved in the action. That's a different dynamic, man, bringing it to the game. So yeah, you would definitely want to have him. I think he's also a guy that can miss some time right now early and be able to incorporate himself back into the game and be able to kind of get flowing without it being because his game's not based on athleticism. His game's not really based on his is more of a read and react thing. And I think a lot of times when you're a vet, you can get a lot of that from film. And sometimes it is better taking a step back. You also add something, taking a step back from the game and watching it from a bird's eye view instead of being in it. I would expect him to come back, even if it was 2 or 3 games that he had to miss, and bring a whole different breath of fresh air to the game. Different than what kind of similar to what Josiah brings offensively. Like when he was making shots last night, it was like, man, where we gonna get these shots from? And boom, he hit 3 threes. I think that's kind of what Santi brings to the game. And it also gives these guys an opportunity to step up. I think when they were thriving early in the year, it was because of Josiah being out. And you got a guy like Tyreek Key. Now you got to go shoot the ball, shooter. You know what I'm saying? You got guys like Jamal Mayshek that was able to get in there and have energy plays. Julian Phillips had more confidence last night, being able to shoot the ball, knowing that he wasn't Santi. So those shots that Santi would get, you saw Zakai being put in a role where he's able to run off screens and make shots. So you get the other guys to get to kind of develop and learn how to play without having a guy that's that reliable in those moments, to have the hot hand and be able to make threes and create for others. So I think it's a good thing, man. Honestly, in the way this team is built, they're built on defense. You know what I'm saying? So the offense doesn't necessarily dictate how the game will flow or go, but the defense does. Now, of course, you got to put the ball in the hole at some time. We saw that last night. So you get other opportunities for other guys, and I think they'll be just fine without Santi right now.